And I'm going to share my screen and pull up this PowerPoint. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll keep an eye out on the waiting room as well and the chat box so I can let people in as they come in, and me and Dana can both keep an eye on the chat box. So like I said, I'm with Alabama Lifespan Respite. We are located in Huntsville, Alabama, but we are a nonprofit of UCP Huntsville. Our program is not just for Huntsville, not just for Madison County. We are a statewide program. So all services we offer are for any caregiver in Alabama. So today, like I said, I'm going to give an overview of Alabama Respite. We're going to kind of define respite and its importance. A lot of people still don't know what respite means and why it is so important, especially for family caregivers. I'm going to go over all of our services that we provide. I'm going to discuss our application process with you and important documents that go along with our application process. We try to make everything as simple as possible for everybody, but it can get, I know caregivers' lives are very stressful, and so it can get a little overwhelming, but I'm here to kind of lay things out and help you understand it as best as possible. So respite is just a temporary break. We specifically target it for unpaid family caregivers. Respite can be in home for you. So if you want someone to come to your home to sit with your loved one in home, that's respite. Out of home, such as an adult day center, a respite provider's home, a summer camp for your child, that's respite for you. That's a time for them to get out, socialize, and you to get a break. Churches have a lot of respite programs as well, respite day programs. So just be aware, and maybe sometimes respite is not exactly what you thought it would be, but any sort of break for you, big or small, is very important. So respite is so important because obviously it decreases caregiver stress. If you're taking time to take care of yourself, take yourself out of a caregiving situation, just time to slow down and really think about yourself and what is going to benefit you. That is going to decrease your overall stress and increase your happiness. Respite is really important because it prevents burnout. Caregiver stress and burnout is a big factor in caregiving, and it's very easy to get to that point. The hustle and bustle of every day, caring for your loved one, always meeting somebody else's needs, you can become burnout very quick. When you take advantage of respite, it also helps you as the caregiver provide the best care possible for your loved one. If you're not taking care of yourself well, how can you really take good care of your loved one? So it's going to benefit both you and your loved one. Respite is going to improve family functioning and satisfaction with overall life. It's going to improve attitudes towards your loved one. Sometimes when you're burnt out, really any individual, if we're burnt out, stressed out, tired, we're going to get a little snappy with our loved ones. So it's very prominent, especially in a caregiving situation where you're with the same person 24/7, essentially, tension can rise. So respite can help improve the attitudes towards you and your loved one. It helps sustain family caregiver health and well-being, which goes hand in hand with the burnout, the stress I've already spoke about. Respite is going to help delay out-of-home placements. So really our whole goal for respite for caregivers is for caregivers to take care of themselves to ensure that they can care for their loved one in home for as long as possible. Sometimes we know it's inevitable to place your loved one out of home, and that's okay. But if you can take care of yourself, you're just the best version of yourself. And that's really important. So respite reduces the likelihood of abuse and neglect too. That is obviously worst case scenario, but it does happen. So respite is just all around important. Some of the signs and symptoms of stress and burnout are chronic fatigue. So in the early stages, you may feel a lack of energy and feel tired most days. In the latter stages, you feel physically and emotionally exhausted, drained, and depleted, and you may feel a sense of dread for what lies ahead on any given day. Insomnia. In the early stages, you may have trouble falling asleep or staying asleep 1 or 2 nights a week. In the latter stages, insomnia may turn into a persistent nightly ordeal. As exhausted as you are, you can't sleep. You may experience forgetfulness, impaired concentration and attention, lack of focus, and mild forgetfulness are early signs as well. Physical symptoms include chest pains, heart palpitations, shortness of breath, gastrointestinal pain, dizziness, fainting, and/or headaches, increased illnesses because your body is depleted. Your immune system becomes weakened. You are more vulnerable to infections, colds, flu, and other immune-related medical problems. Another symptom of stress and burnout is loss of increased appetite, depression, and anger. So, like I mentioned, Alabama Respite is a statewide program of UCP Huntsville. They just hold our nonprofit credentials for us. So we are housed within UCP Huntsville. And if you ever receive funding from us, the checks actually come from UCP Huntsville. So a lot of people get confused, but we're essentially all the same. So our mission is to increase access to and availability of respite options throughout the state. So how we do that is through number one, advocacy. We are a total nonprofit, so we do have to advocate on caregivers' behalf to legislators and our governor, just to show them the importance of respite, how the importance of taking care of caregivers is to enable that we get the funding to be able to give caregivers and serve the most caregivers we can in Alabama. We have caregiver educational opportunities. So normally before COVID happened, we would be out in every county in the state throughout the whole year doing support group style trainings where we would just gather with a group of caregivers, talk about a topic that would be beneficial to you, play a game. And it was just really fun. So we still do that. We just do it over Zoom. We do, me and Vonda, who is our South Alabama contractor, we average about 10 trainings a month online. And so it's just like this. We just kind of get together like Zoom. Don't always have a PowerPoint. It's more laid back, chit chat. Sometimes we do play a game, but it's pretty much the same thing, just virtual. You can find out about all of those on our website at alabamarespite.org under the events tab, or you can stay up to date on our Facebook page at Alabama Lifespan Resource Respite Network. That's how you find us on Facebook. So if you can't find us, just email me and let me know, and I'll send you the direct link. But we post all of our activities there. On our website, you can also subscribe to our newsletter, which we send out at the beginning of every month, an email with just all of our trainings throughout the month and a direct link to RSVP to those. So you can always stay up to date that way. When you go to our website and look at the events tab, our trainings and all of our events are there, but also we share any other respite activities across the state there too. So you can find other resources there and other activities there other than just ours. That's on our website. So we provide technical assistance. We provide technical assistance. So we have some assistive technology ideas that we can share that would actually give you respite in the form of making your care recipient a little more independent. So if you'd like more information about that, just reach out. We have a caregiver wellness initiative where any caregiver being served on our program, we can refer you to a mental health counselor and pay for 3 mental health counseling sessions for you, because, you know, sometimes caregivers don't have anybody to talk to. So sometimes just somebody to talk to is good. So we can pay for that for you. We have a online respite provider training. So say, if you want to hire your neighbor or someone you go to church with to sit with your loved one, and they don't really need any real medical training or anything, but you just want them to have a little bit more knowledge than nothing. We can take 25 people a month to do this online training. And it's just kind of to help them gain better understanding of a few things and make you just feel a little more confident in having them stay with your loved one. So 25 respite providers a month can do that for free at no cost to anybody. So you can reach out to us for that. And then if you do refer a respite provider to go through that, if you want to get a background check on that person as well, we will pay for that for you. So that's a great resource. We also have a caregiver and agency resource exchange in the form of what we call a care meeting every quarter. So every quarter, we will have a virtual meeting where caregivers are invited, working professionals are invited, but we will have at least 2 or 3 speakers on that. And they'll be from, it's hard to say where they'll be from. I think this month, the next one will be in March, I think on March 22nd, I believe. But you'll see that soon advertised on our website and social media. But I think we're going to have somebody from the Social Security Administration on that. And there might be a few other people, but that's a great resource. And then our big thing is respite reimbursement, which is what I'm about to get into. This is the big whole, our respite reimbursement is pretty much what our program was established on, and we've grown from there. But who qualifies for our respite reimbursement is unpaid family caregivers providing around-the-clock care to a loved one with a special need, disability, or chronic terminal or mental illness. In order to qualify, you cannot be receiving respite services through any other agency, such as the VA, Alabama Cares, ALS Association, Autism Society. I think there's more, but I can't think of any more right now. But Medicaid waiver, any sort of program that you're receiving respite from, you cannot qualify for our program. But that's not us being mean. It's just, you know, it wouldn't be right to double dip and take the funds away from someone who's not receiving respite services at all. So, and when I say someone providing around-the-clock care to a loved one, so say if you're caring for a disabled parent or a child with a diagnosis and you still work full-time, you would still qualify, because most likely you're having to pay for care for them while you're not there, and you still need respite in general. And say if you have a child with autism, Down syndrome, you're still a caregiver. You still qualify for our program. We cover the lifespan too. So outside of providing care for a loved one with a diagnosis, we cover the lifespan. So it can be an adult or child. So a lot of people just don't identify themselves as a caregiver, but if you are providing care in some sort of capacity for a loved one, a spouse, a parent, a child, you still need a break. So in order to get started, you call or email us to request an application. Our application is actually on our website too. There's a direct link that I think there's a tab. There is a tab that says application process or something of that nature. And once you go there, read about it, there is a direct link that you can press and pull up our application online. Our application is totally fillable from a computer, phone, tablet, anything like that, or we can always just mail you one, whatever's easiest for you. Our applications are updated every year, so it is best to contact us directly for the application. If for some reason you get an application from another agency, they may have an old one, and if you fill that one out and send it in to us, unfortunately, we cannot process that. So make sure you're getting an up-to-date application from us. So on the application, like I said earlier, we try to make the process as easy as absolutely possible for everyone involved. So on the application, we just need the caregivers and care recipients information, including date of birth, address, phone, email address. We need a proof of diagnosis for your loved one. And that is not like their whole medical records. That is just literally something, a note from a doctor that just identifies the care recipient, their date of birth, their diagnosis, and the signature of a nurse, doctor, or social worker. So very simple. So like say if I did email you an application or you did fill it out online, you could do it all online, but you still would have to send in the proof of diagnosis. So the easiest thing for that would be to take a picture of the proof of diagnosis and email it in. That would be acceptable, or just mail the proof of diagnosis in separate. So within the application process, like I said, you just request the application one way or the other, make sure it's the current application, which if it's coming straight from us, it is. Complete the application and return it for processing. The processing doesn't take very long. So once it's processed, you'll know if you've been approved within probably like a week, if even that long. And you'll receive an email or something in the mail with what we call a welcome kit. The welcome kit is just kind of a little informational packet about the ins and outs of the program, what to expect, and then you'll have a timesheet. A timesheet is what we call your funding. So we are not paying you up front to pay for respite. We're sending you what I call a timesheet, and it's going to have a time frame on it. So say, for example, if I mailed you one today, it would be good from probably February 25th through April 30th. So there's always a time frame on it. That time frame is when you know that you can use those funds. So say if your timesheet started today on the 24th, then anything before the 24th of respite that you paid, you could not log it on that timesheet. And you would know that you had to turn it in by the end of your time frame. So if it's due April 30th or your timesheet ends April 30th, then you have to have it back to us by then. Along with the dates to be used on there, you have an award amount. The award amount is what you know we will reimburse you up to. So our respite program, unfortunately, is not to pay for around the clock respite. It's more geared towards just giving you a temporary break. A break to go to church on Sunday, a break to go to the doctor, a break to go out to eat, a break to go to a movie, just a short little break of a couple of hours. So say if you got a timesheet today, it had a certain time frame on it, and it was an award amount of $300. Then you know, okay, I have $300 that I can be reimbursed for. And once it's in your hands, the respite and who gives you respite, that's on you. So we cannot actually refer anyone to provide you respite, and we do not send anybody out to provide respite. We're just giving you the monetary means. So say you have your timesheet, you know your award amount, you know how long it's going to be. Does somebody have a question?
Yes, madam. This is a joy here. Like my time, she in the 28th. Do you need it 28 or can I mail up, March 1st or 2nd?
Say that one more time. You're breaking up a little bit.
Okay, my time sheet days 2/28/22. Are you saying that you got to have it by? That's when my time in and I care.
Mhm. We need it no later than the last day that's listed. Yes. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So once you have your timesheet, then like I said, you have to figure out who's going to give you respite. So it can be a family member or friend, as long as they're 18 and don't live in the same home with you. And if it's just an individual, we don't tell you how much you can pay them or you have to pay them. You negotiate how much you pay, how many hours they're there, all that is you decide, it's up to you. You can hire a direct service provider, so an actual agency. Sometimes that's the only option that people have, which we understand, but we do recommend hiring an individual or someone you know, because the hourly rate will be a little bit cheaper and your timesheet will go farther, obviously, if you don't spend a lot at one time on the respite. So once you figure out your respite and arrange it, say you have, respite, you've paid for respite for like 2 times a week for X amount of weeks, you're within your time frame, you've spent your award amount out of pocket, so you're paying them out of pocket, but you just know that we will only reimburse for your award amount on your timesheet. So say you've spent $300 out of pocket, then you're gonna mail your timesheet back into us. And your timesheet literally just looks like a time card. It's a piece of paper with the caregiver's information, care recipient's information, the respite provider's information, and you're logging the dates of when you paid for respite, the hours, how much, and then you total it all up and send it back to us. We process it. And once it's processed, we mail you out a check reimbursing you for the respite. So it's real simple. Some people don't have as easy of options of hiring someone for respite. So sometimes you do just have to hire a direct service provider, an agency to come in. If you can find a day program, that's a good resource to take your loved one. Also, in the past, we have not been able to guarantee that you receive a certain amount of timesheets. This year is the first year that we are able to guarantee you timesheets for every quarter through our whole entire fiscal year. Our fiscal year runs September 1st through August 31st. And once the year ends, our funding starts over, everything kind of starts over. If you're already on our program, you don't have to totally reapply. We just send out what we call re-enrollment surveys to everyone already on our program. As long as you fill that out to let us know that you're still a caregiver, nothing has changed, mail it back to us or email it back to us, then you're re-enrolled. So every fiscal year, that's all you have to do to re-enroll. You don't have to go through the whole process again. But like I mentioned, this fiscal year was the first year we have been able to actually guarantee that you're going to receive timesheets every quarter. We haven't promised any actual amounts. We have just promised actual timesheets. So when you receive a timesheet, on that timesheet, it'll tell you on the back when to expect another timesheet. Like I said, we can't tell you how much because it all depends on how many caregivers we're serving, how much funding we have left, all of that. So can't promise you any amounts, but we can promise that you will receive timesheets throughout the fiscal year. Also, on top of our regular timesheets, we have emergency timesheets that is separate funding. So say you have an emergency that's come up where you're sick as the caregiver, you have to be hospitalized or you have to leave town unexpectedly, some sort of emergent situation where you've got to pay for respite real quick, real fast for an extended amount of time. You can call us and say, hey, this has happened and we'll get you to put it in writing, and we can award you an emergency timesheet outside of your regular timesheet to cover that situation. So it has to be a true emergency, but that is an option as well.
Disability of a person.
So
Go to the doctor.
this is my email address on this slide at the bottom, the cfrinsley@ucphuntsville.org. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to email me, or our number's on there. You can call us anytime. We have a full staff in office, so you can call us with any questions anytime. But I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to kind of show you what our application looks like for you to kind of get an idea. So it would have been easier probably if I would have posted a screenshot of the application, but I didn't think about that before now. So this is, okay, so like I said, everything changes every year. So if you have filled out one of our previous applications, it looked a little bit different. It's never had this informational sheet on the front. It comes in a packet, several pages. But this front page is an educational sheet, just kind of pretty much telling you exactly what I just told you in the PowerPoint. So it just kind of talks about what's respite, who's a primary caregiver, who's a care recipient, who is a respite provider, what is respite reimbursement, what are timesheet, how the program works, all that. So that's just on the front of the application.
About Social Security. Says I should get all kinds of stuff and all kinds of support.
There is a second page as well. I know it, sometimes even looking at stuff like this kind of makes me feel panicked, just like it looks like a lot to read. But it's all pretty easy to read and straight to the point. This second page is just a checklist to verify that you understand how the program works and understand that you cannot be served by another respite program and be on our program. So you're actually a little better off if you are being served by another respite program. A lot of programs have a lot more money than us, but they may be diagnosis specific, income specific, anything like that. We're the program that if you cannot qualify for anything else, we're going to be able to serve you because we're not diagnosis specific, we're not age specific, income, nothing like that. And we also don't report anything to the IRS. So a lot of people get worried about their disability, Social Security, stuff like that. We don't report anything like that, so it's not going to affect anything. So that's just the second page of the application. The third page, we actually get into the actual application. So you see, it's not too bad. Everything's kind of boxed off to make it real clear of what you need to do. So the first page is the primary caregiver's information. So that's you or whoever's providing care for the loved one, normally without being paid. So we just ask for the caregiver's name, address, date of birth, gender, email address, phone number. There isn't an income question on here, but it doesn't qualify you or disqualify you. Since we are a nonprofit, we do have to report some statistics to the state because we get funding from them. So that's just a statistic to identify who's living below and above and below the poverty line in Alabama. So all this is the caregiver's information. So the caregiver is the one providing the unpaid care for the loved one. We ask what relationship you have with the care recipient, your military status, your race. And then you get on to the second page. This is just all just kind of a questionnaire. We just ask still the caregiver's ethnicity. We ask if you as the caregiver live in the same household, which is okay. How many hours you provide care in a week. And it does have a question on here wanting to know if you are interested in receiving information about the mental health counseling stipend. Like I said, we can pay for 3 sessions of mental health counseling for you. So if you check yes on that, I'll send you information on that as well. Then on here, we ask you to put a number from 1 to 10 to scale your current stress level as a caregiver. So our goal is to decrease your stress with respite. So we kind of gauge this with how you progress through the program, because we ask this on our timesheets as well to rate your stress. So that's just information for us. And then these boxes down here on the 3rd page of the application, these are all other respite programs. So we just ask for you to kind of look over, make sure that you are not being served by any other program of these. If you are, you check the box that you are. So that is that. Now, this is the 3rd page of the application, or the 4th page. And it's just another area to kind of get you to reiterate that you understand how the program works. Like a box says, I understand that in order to receive my reimbursement, my timesheet must be completed and returned by the due date provided. So that is the dates to be used. That last date is the due date. So just as long as it's turned in by then, you understand. Another one is, I understand that I'm responsible for selecting and training a trustworthy respite provider who's 18 years of age and living outside of the care of the recipient's home. That we are not responsible for any actions taken by the selected respite provider. This says you have to train them, but you just have to, whatever you're comfortable with. Like if you think they need training, then that's just your responsibility. So like I said, we cannot train anybody. We cannot, other than if you want to send them through our online respite provider training and get a background check, we can facilitate that. But anything else, that's up to you. Another one just has us acknowledging that the reimbursement checks will be mailed to you. And where the checks are mailed to is the address that you write on your timesheet. So that's really important to verify that that's correct. We do let you know that sometimes it can be a 90-day waiting period before receiving reimbursement. Very, 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 very rarely does it take 90 days. That's just worst case scenario. We have another box to have you acknowledge that you are using these funds for respite care only. So we just trust that you're doing the right thing and using this correctly. Another box just has to verify that you are providing a proof of diagnosis. So like I said, just something from a doctor, nurse, social worker identifying your care recipient and their diagnosis. And then just attach your proof of diagnosis. Then you move on to the care recipient's information. Pretty much same thing. Just name, date of birth, diagnosis, gender, race, and then you have to sign. The caregiver has to sign down here at the bottom and date it. And that's the end of the application. So it's not too difficult. Some people can get a little overwhelmed looking at it, but it's really not bad. The biggest things to take away are filling out the application correctly and providing the proof of diagnosis. Like I said, you can fill out the application online. I can email it to you. You can fill it out straight from there. You do just still have to send in a proof of diagnosis. So an easy way is, like I said, take a picture of it and just email it back to me with the application, or I can mail you the applications, no problem at all. And you can mail back a proof of diagnosis with the application, however you want to do it. Just know that your application cannot be processed until we have the proof of diagnosis. So once we receive that, like I said, we make sure everything is correct. You're not being served by another program. And we send you a welcome kit that I spoke about. So that would be just more information about the program, just to verify you understand, and your timesheet. And I went over the timesheet. It's real simple. And like I said, on there, you'll be able to be aware of when your next timesheet is coming. So I guess one thing for you to know is, say if you did have a timesheet that was due on March 30th, but you turned it in on February 25th, just because that happens because you've already spent all of your funding and you want to get reimbursed, that's totally okay. You can turn it in, but just know that if we're not sending out another timesheet until May 15th, no matter if you turned in your timesheet for reimbursement on February 25th, you're not going to receive another timesheet until we tell you, like, when it was listed. So I think I said May something, but also another thing to note is if, for example, if you have a $300 timesheet and you've only spent 150 and turn it back into us, you lose your other 150. So be sure you turn that in when you've spent all your funding, because we just don't have the ability to keep track of the individual numbers that everybody spends. So if you don't spend all of it, you lose it. I think that's the main, I think I hit everything that you need to know. Does anybody have, okay, somebody asked in the chat if a school IEP would work for proof of diagnosis, and absolutely, yes. Do we have any other questions?
If we spend more than what our time say it's going to allow, do we need to report that to you?
No,
Yes.
because we are only
Right.
going to reimburse what we tell you we will. So if you spend more, a lot of people do list it on the timesheet, but we can't do anything with it. So unless you want to save it for the next timesheet and hope that it falls within the range of the next one, that would be helpful. But otherwise, if you list more than what the awarded amount was, we can't reimburse for it.
Okay.
I have a question, Ms. Carly.
Mhm.
You said that the waiver program, the person can't be approved if they're on the waiver program, the child.
Medicaid waiver. So Medicaid waiver has respite, but it also has other things that aren't respite. If you can prove that you're not receiving actual respite, we can consider that.
Okay, it's not respite that she receives. I'm her listed as her caregiver through the state.
Mhm.
I think I heard you say that if you're paid as their caregiver, can you still receive the respite care or no?
So who is paying you?
The Medicaid waiver program. I'm her caregiver. She's trach and ventilator dependent.
Mhm.
Been trying to find her a nurse, but it's been really hard.
So unfortunately, no. If you are a paid caregiver, if you're
Okay.
already being paid, or if you are just a paid caregiver, no, our program is not, you won't qualify for our program, unfortunately.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome. If anybody would like for me to email you a application, just send you email. Well, it's whatever you're comfortable with. So you can put your email address in the chat box, or you can email me directly and request one. And I can email that or mail it. So y'all just let me know what you need.
I have a question, like, okay, so we have the E&D waiver. That's different than respite, correct?
I believe so.
Okay, because like we get the E&D waiver and we do personal choices, but I'm not the paid caregiver. So would we still be eligible for this?
So through personal choices, are you receiving respite?
No, we receive PCA.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Okay. I believe you could still qualify for our program. I would have to consult with someone else, but I think you could.
Okay, yeah, because I'm not the paid caregiver even through the personal choices.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll see So the people that sent their email address in the chat, I assume that you just want your application emailed, so I'll do that. If you want, like I said, if anybody else wants it mailed or emailed, you can also email me directly. And you can contact us anytime to request this stuff as well. So like I said, we have a full staff here in office to answer any questions. So, but everybody that's sending their emails, I will make sure that I email you the application. Dana, is there anything you want to talk about? You don't have to, but you can if you want to.
I just wanted to say hello to everybody. If you happen to be in the Coleman, Lawrence, or Morgan County service area and you ever need any assistance through NARCOG, or if we're statewide as well, you can dial 1-800-AGE-LINE in whatever county you live in, and that will put you through to your nearest area agency on aging if you need services. But we work a lot with Alabama Lifespan Respite to also provide respite services to caregivers. So if you should need something, please reach out. We have many different services available to help you age in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. If y'all have any questions for her, feel free. All right, guys. Well, that's all I had for y'all. I'm just jotting down everybody's email address to mail y'all these. If y'all don't have any more questions, we can be good to go. So everybody good, and you think you have a good understanding of the program? All right, guys. Well, I will see y'all next time. And like I said, you can stay up to date with everything going on our Facebook page or Alabama Respite. But I appreciate y'all joining us today.